Hi, Ray. I was just looking up the date. Today. Hi, Ray. How you doing? Ray is a Kabbalist, you guys. An OG Brandon Lee Taylor. Brandon Lee Aleph. Hi, Aleph. Good morning. Boker Tov. Hi, Sharon. Hi, guys. Hi, Sydney. My favorite people. Thank you guys for coming. So today is June 16th, 2025. And we are smack in the middle of the greatest story Hashem ever told us. Just give it a few more seconds. Okay. Hey, Hiroko. Okay, Hiroko's here. We can start. I want to develop an idea with you guys before we get into the reading today. And it is actually connected to a very important concept in the Torah of Mashiach. I want to actually start with that and show it to you, and then come back and show you inside the text what I'm referring to. Let us go to here. Okay. So remember how Yira laid out that the Supreme Emanator formed man with 11 major organs, and these are the 11 major systems of the body, and he layered them one upon the other in the secret of concentric circles and formed the man. And we realized then that the nervous system, your nervous system is king. Your nervous system is sitting at Keter. What does this mean? This means that the way you operate in this world, you're either operating from the front of Keter or the back of Keter, meaning you're either holding tight to Yira, which resides at Keter, which is awe of Hashem, awe of the illimitable one, awe of the Ein Sof, which is a sweet spot to be. We are constantly in love with him and constantly in awe of him. And he's bringing you miracle after miracle, synchronicity after synchronicity, timing after timing, sign after sign. And you're like, Hashem, hold up. It's too much. And it kind of, it could overwhelm your system when Hashem shows you. I remember Ani taught me this, that Hashgacha Pratis, that kind of sweet divine providence Hashem gives us, where he shows himself to you, where he exposes, he kind of makes himself transparent to you, comes from the Ein Sof. Doesn't come from any other iteration of the Shemot of Hashem. When Hashem gives you synchronicities and timings, it is drawing from the tippy top of the past Keter, the Ein Sof. Hi, Chase. Hi, God is everything. Hi, Betty. So the point I want to develop with you guys is there's this pasuk that was swirling around my consciousness. And I know when Hashem was bothering me. He was bothering me with it. So I had to look it up. I'm going to show it to you. Let's go here again. Okay, so this was the pasuk. Tzadikim yoshvin v'atrosehem v'rashehem. The righteous ones are sitting with their crowns on their heads, v'nehenim mizev hashchina, and they are basking in the light of the Shechina. Shenemar v'chazu esalhem v'yochlu v'yishtu. Okay, so that I was like, oh, Hashem, what do you want from me? And then I looked further in Sefaria down the page, and then I saw this pasuk. I was like, oh, Hashem, this is what you wanted me to find. It says, hold on, la'olam, forever. Yehei Adam, a man should be arum. Look at this word arum, b'yirah. And ever since we discovered that the name of Hashem, one of the 7 things that was hidden from before creation, was the name of Mashiach, was the name of our precious Mashiach, Yirah Ha'ari. Anytime I see this word Yirah, I know it's connected to Mashiach. Okay? So it says, forever a man should be, whatever the translation of this word is, arum b'yirah. I was like, what is this saying? I have no idea what this is trying to teach me. Abaye was wont to say, one must always be shrewd. He's saying shrewd, and utilize every strategy in order to achieve fear of Hashem. Okay, I don't love this translation because I feel like that's coming from the backside of the tree. When you're operating out of shrewdness, you're not in real yirah. You're not. And let's go to where we see that word in reference to the snake. Oh, hold on, not that. V'hanachash, and the snake, haya arum. He was shrewdest, he was craftier, he was manipulative. Mikol chayas hasadeh, from all the wild beasts. And then I asked the AI, what does arum mean? And it is used to describe the serpent's nature, often translated as crafty, subtle, and shrewd. This term, while sometimes carrying a negative connotation of slyness, can also mean the exact opposite. This Hebrew word could also mean prudent or wise in other contexts. The serpent's craftiness is highlighted in his ability to deceive Eve, leading to the fall of humanity. So my point, hi Kim Johansson, my point in bringing up this word arum b'yirah is to teach us, is to teach us that when you reach for the top of the tree, when you're operating from a field of yirah, from awe of Hashem, which is what Mashiach came to teach us, which is why that's his name too. When we're not operating really out of fear, but more out of awe, and your nervous system is regulated, and you're releasing dopamine instead of cortisol, and your nervous system is regulated instead of dysregulated, you're going to utilize arum. The definition of arum is transparent. You're going to operate with such transparency with this world because you're going to know everything every day is from Hashem. You don't have to manipulate one little thing. You don't have to be crafty about anything. You can live open-hearted. You can live transparent. You can live arum, prudent and wise and transparent, naked with Hashem. And this is going to be the big flip that Mashiach brings into the world when collectively all of our nervous systems are co-regulated with each other. So we don't have to manipulate each other. I remember I worked for a dentist in my early years, and he was teaching me how to speak to patients. And he would say to me, say this, so they think that. He would say to me, recommend this, so they don't think that you want their money. Recommend them to other specialists. And I was like, what? I was like, why don't I just tell them the truth and let them decide? And this is how I've operated with my patients from day one, really. I'm just not a crafty person by nature. So I was like, this is what you need and this is what you should do. And I don't do it with any ulterior motive. I just don't. It's too exhausting to operate in a world like that. Yeah. Oh, and I wanted to read to you. My husband picked up this book It's called The Life of the Arizal. The Life of the Arizal by Baruch Twersky. It is translated and adapted from the classic text of Shivchei Ha'ari, which I picked up in Israel, this tiny book, Shivchei Ha'ari. It's the little stories of the Arizal that Chaim Vital wrote down. And I realized Abaye is very connected to our times. How so? Because Reb Chaim Vital writes, this is on page 64, "Now I will tell you what the Ari told me when we met in relation to the source of my soul. He said, no, heaven hasn't yet given me permission to tell you the reason you came to the world. However, if I would tell you the details of this matter," said the Arizal to Chaim Vital, "you would fly in the air from joy. The order of Gilgulim of my soul, the reincarnations of Rav Chaim Vital's soul, are the following. Moshe Rabbeinu, he's got Moshe Rabbeinu in the mix. Shmuel HaNavi, Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Rabbi Akiva, where's Aleph? Rev Yeva Sava of the Zohar, and finally Abaye, the Amora. And Abaye was the most recent Gilgul of Chaim Vital. And Abaye was the one who told us, La'olam Yehei Adam Arum B'Yirah. He was dropping the first hint of Geula in reference to our Mashiach named Yirah, that we need to operate from Yirah transparently. To rectify, we have to swivel. The serpent used the backside of Yirah, and we need to swivel and use the front side. This is a tikkun, this is a rectification of that word, that the serpent was craftier. If he was as crafty as he was, this is how transparent and trusting we have to operate from Amunah, faith, bitachon, Yira, and Ahava of Hashem. And in doing so, we will have a regulated nervous system that will transmit the best neurotransmitters to the rest of the organs to keep us in a relaxed, embodied, present state. You cannot notice Hashem if you are not present. You will miss the signs if you are stuck in your head. If you're constantly trying to figure out how you're going to outsmart the next one, outwit the next one, manipulate, you're going to miss Hashem. You're going to miss that relationship because he'll take care of you. You don't have to manipulate nothing. Okay, that was my point on that. Did you guys like it? So many deep thoughts. Hi, Stephen. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else I want to tell you guys. No, I was actually in tremendous awe of Yira. Yesterday, he taught Zohar, the noon Zohar, and he whipped out his 35-foot Elan, some pictures that he made that Elan 8 years ago, he told me, 8 years ago. And I'm like, how do you hold this information all this time? How do you keep it inside of you? And how do you release it slowly so we can absorb it, digest it in bite-sized pieces, little la'at, little by little? He knows how. He knows how to give it over. He knows how and he knows when. He's holding on to that for over 8 years in his head. And I said, how do you have it like fresh in your mind all the time? And this is when I fall into absolute yirah. I'm like, oh my God, what is inside that head? And he said to me, it's written in his soul. It's not hard for him. The information is etched in his soul. And he just jots it in like shorthand on paper so he could teach it. Yeah, Sydney. 7 trillion electrons. 7 trillion, trillion, something like that, cells. Yep. Oh, and I want to play for you one more thing, and then we'll get into the reading. You guys are going to love this.
There, the first interpretation of the Zohar. It absolutely exists in Judaism. Ultimately, the body and the physical realm in general are higher in essence than the soul and the spiritual level. That although it appears that the soul is superior to the body, that the world to come is superior to this world, that spirituality is superior to physicality, if you go down to the essence of them, it flips. And the essence of the body and the essence of this world and the essence of physicality become higher than the essence of the soul and the world to come and spirituality. And both the body and femininity are constantly being refined and are rising and will ultimately reach a state in which the body is so refined and femininity is so high that they reflect the idea that the essence of physicality, which now also becomes the essence of femininity, is higher than the essence of spirituality, and the roles are reversed.
You hear that, guys? The roles are reversed. Physicality becomes higher than spirituality. And this is why Yira is teaching us in the Torah of Mashiach about the body. Let's get into it. Okay. Torah of Mashiach. Okay, page 33. There's the teeth. Okay. Okay, let's make it a little bigger. Too big? Okay, I think that's good. Okay. The brain, you guys ready? The brain thus connects. The brain thus connects the organs of the body, connects to the organs of the body. Sorry, the brain thus connects to the organs of the body, right? The brain is connecting to your organs via the spine. See? Everything comes down from the brain through the spine to the organs. And there are 31 connections via the peripheral nervous systems, of which there are 31 nerves, okay, that connect the spine to the rest of the body. It is shown in the diagram above that the first letter to be rectified is the letter Shin, the I. And this refers to the sphere of Chesed, which is called Chesed El, a loving El. And El, Aleph Lamed, has a numerical value, a gematria of 31, hinting to these 31 nerves coming through the spine to the rest of the body. Now, the luz bone is located in the yesod of the body and connects to the reproductive organ, which is yesod to this place. Regarding this matter, the luz bone has 6 holes by which the reproductive organ is connected, in the secret of the letter Vav, which hints to Yesod. And here it is. It was explained that Chachma reaches to the Yesod of Zeir Anpin, and this refers to the reproductive organ. Chachma, the brain, thus reaches the reproductive organ via the spine and its 32 parts, which are 32 paths of Chachma. And we all know that the brain and the reproductive organ definitely work in They work in conjunction with each other. Yes, they do. Now, concerning the first correction of Shin and Chesed, we find this is the secret of the eye, which corresponds to Chesed and Gevura. Thus, the eye has 7 parts, which are the secret of the 7 kings. Amazing. It is known that the kings were corrected by the light that entered via the heart spark. And so the function of the eye is to see the spectrum of 7 colors. And it was divided into 7 parts by the supernal emanator for this task. This is the eye. Seeing the 7 colors. We find that the visible light spectrum right here is precisely in the secret of Tiferet, which is in the middle. Balance. For this is the process of correction of the 2 extremes. We always want to be in the middle road. We never want to go right or left. It was explained regarding this matter that there are 7 types of wavelengths, and we behold only one of them, the one in the middle, Tiferet, balanced. We find that Gevura, Tes, right, from the 7 sparks that fell, first was Shin and then was Tes, is also in the secret of the eye. And this is Isaac. Yitzchak was dimly sighted, for Gevura corresponds to the eye, right? So Chesed and Gevura are the right and left eyes. Having established these 2 corrections of Shin and Tes, we will address the workings of the supernal emanator in regard to the nose. We're going to move down the face, which is the secret of the letter Nun, as it has been explained. Thus, we find the emanator, as with the eye, divided the nose also into 7 parts, and they are as follows. Ethmoid, nasal bone, septal cartilage, greater alar cartilage, maxilla, palatine, and vomer. Oh my God, this takes me back to dental school. It was explained in Likutei that the correction of the 7 kings who died without weapons was the secret of the 3 Tagin. You guys remember? And that these 3 Tagin were the secret of the letter Zion, 7. Therefore, we find that it was with 7 kinds of lights. He corrected each of the 7, and they became 49 Jubilee, being set free from the klipot and corrected in the world of Tikkun. The supernal emanator took the letters Ayin and Zion, which are Netzach and Hod, formed them and corrected them by the 7 lights, and thus divided the ears, which are Netzach and Hod, into 7 parts as well, and they are as follows. Everything has 7 parts. You have the pinna of your ear, the ear canal, eardrum, ossicles, auditory nerve, cochlea, eustachian tube. So we see the supernal emanator took 7 kinds of light. And molded the ears into 7 parts. Wow. This is crazy. Wow. Wow. The supernal emanator then took 7 kinds of light and corrected the letter Tzadi of the sparks, which corresponds to Yesod. Let me show you. Let me remind you. Here's the letter Tzadik, and this corresponds to Yesod. Here we have the 2 eyes, the nose, the 2 ears, and here's the letter Tzadik. Which is Yesod, which is your mouth. He took 7 lights and formed the mouth, dividing it into 7 parts as follows. And they are your teeth, your gums, your palate, the oral mucosa, the salivary glands, the tongue, and the taste buds. Cool. This is my home base here. I know this area pretty well. And here are tikkunim. Here the light of the eyes, the light of the nose, the light of the ears, the light of the mouth. And here we have the shin, tes, nun, the satan, az gates. Thus, the 7 sparks were rectified with 7 kinds of light, emanating from the light of the eyes, nose, ears, and mouth. Wow. Wow. And he shaped and formed 7 aspects to each of these and formed the organs that would be inserted into the skull, the heart spark, and they formed a supernal face. The face of the Ancient of Days, the Atik Yomen. Wow. Wow, the organs were formed out of the correction. And there were 7 aspects to each, and 7 times 7 is 49, which is Jubilee. Whoa. Now, the 5 lights that entered into the restriction, which is the mind, were the lights of the 5 parts of the soul: Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh. Here they are. See, the 5 lights entered in, I think, in the form of the straight light. Yechia, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, into the restriction, which is the mind. These are the concentrate circles, the spheres of Keter, Chachma, Bina, all the way down to Malchus. Yeah, the straight light, which is the sun, which is Mashiach. The straight light, which is the sun, which is Yerahari, and the secret of Israel, from which illuminated the mind, being the restriction, and the thought being the heart spark, which are Ima and Abba, father and mother, entered in first by 5 lights. The straight light entered in first by 5 lights of Chaya, Yechida, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach, and Nefesh, and they descended into the heart spark via the straight light and illuminated and aroused thought, because they were carrying the letters. The straight light was carrying the letters. And this is why only Mashiach will be able to understand the letters and teach us the letters. Via the straight light and illuminated and aroused thought, as it is written in the beginning, when Israel arose in thought, which is the heart spark. These 5 lights entered first. And so the mouth has 5 corresponding parts by which it speaks, corresponding to the 5 parts of your soul. And the letters followed this path. And the mouth spoke, being the mouth of the mind, which is thought. Thought is the mouth of your mind. Thus, the mouth uses 5 parts, like the soul has 5 parts, to speak 22 letters, forming them into words which are the illumination and arousal of the divine mind. This mouth is concealed inside the mind, being the secret of thought. For this heart spark was the malchus of the restriction and the Adam Kadmon. And so malchus is called mouth. As it is written, the earth opened its mouth. And what of this light when it returned? Okay, the light came down, straight line, and then it went back up. These 5 lights became the 5 Partsufim. And they garmented. They are the garments. They clothed the inner light of those first 5. They formed the vessel around those naked lights. And these 5 Partsufim are Arich, Abba, Ima, Zer, and Nukva of the light. And when they would return, after they were concealed, in the five of the middle, which are Keter, Chachma, Bina, Tiferet, and Malchus. These five lights later helped. This is interesting because this is, I think, they're in a straight line. Keter, Chachma, and Bina are in a straight line when the spheros are portrayed in a straight line as opposed to a zigzag. It's Keter, Chachma, and Bina in a straight line, and then it branches out. These five lights later helped the man, being his five parts of his soul, and the roots of his five senses. The seven sparks, this is how we perceive the world, through these five lights, through our senses, through our body, through our nervous system. The seven sparks, which are the seven kings, you have taught, are the seven sparks, which are the seven kings, are the five partsufim, Arich Pin, Abba, Ima, Zer, Pin, and Nukva. Right. When the seven kings come out, they turn into this diagram. These five. One, Arich, Iman Abba, Zeran, Pin, and Malchus. Five partsufim. The seven kings gel and become five partsufim. Okay, where was I? The light that passed through the heart spark contained within its garments these five, as I have explained, and those seven are those five of the inferior order. The light first entered via these five into the mind and thought, and then it came in as a straight line, and then it ascended back up, putting on the garments of the five partsufim via the returning light. The returning light, which was a garment for the straight light. This prepared the way for the 22 letters to enter in, which was the form of the sun, being the Atika Kadisha. And when those five would enter alongside the letter, they would be garbed in Keter, Chachma, Bina, Tiferet, and Malchus, as I have explained. I'm going to read that again. And when those five would enter alongside the letters, those five lights would enter alongside the letters, they would be garbed in Keter, Chachma, Bina, Tiferet, and Malchus. The first light aroused the thought. The word illuminated the thought. And so the mouth uses five parts, and then comes the 22 letters out of the mouth. Last page. Now, sound emanated from the throat. And regarding this throat, we find the secret of the breath, Hevel. The supreme emanator named it Hevel after its 37 parts. For Hevel, breath has a value of 37. And these are the 7 bones in your neck and the 30 muscles of the throat. It's getting ridiculous, you guys. Hevel is breath, right? And the breath comes through the neck, and the neck has 7 bones and 30 muscles. Wow, that's ridiculous. And so the precious features of the king's face has been made known to you. And know that this level was the 72 name of Hashem, the Yud He Vav He, spelled out with Yuds, all Yuds. And breaking that down, right? the king's head, has 43 muscles to the face, 22 bones to the skull, 7 organs, being the brain, 2 eyes, 2 ears, your nose, and your tongue, for a grand total of 72. Okay. Isn't it crazy, you guys? Yeah. Yes, Hiroko. Physicality over spirituality. It's going to be a flip. It's going to flip. Oh, once we regulate, once we learn how to embody our consciousness in a regulated way inside the body, not be reactive, not be manipulative, operate from a place of yira, the body becomes higher than the soul. Let me see what else you guys said. Yeah, Shauna, in Atzilus, it is a straight line. Thank you for keeping the pages, Chase. I appreciate it. All right, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you back on Thursday.